Welcome back to Nazareto's channel, my dear YouTubers. I will be working on this Venza, Toyota Venza. This is my wife's car, and you see what I'm holding is here is like a wheel hub assembly. So we have to replace this part, and I'll tell you why. I'm gonna replace this wheel hub assembly because it's making noise. It's making like a humming noise. Every time I drive 60-50 miles an hour, I could hear humming. And the tires, I already rotated the tires, so nothing helped. This is the new wheel hub assembly. It turns, and I'm using this TRQ brand. Please don't judge me too much. I'm not using a Toyota original part. How long is it lasts? It's, I don't know, but I'm planning just to keep this car for like a year and a half, maybe 2 years. So I decided to go with this TRQ brand. So this is our wheel hub assembly, and we're gonna be working on that vehicle right there, Toyota Venza. First, we're gonna lift the car up, but I don't have that fancy jack, so I'm gonna lift it up with this one, and then we're gonna put this stand underneath there. It's almost up in the air. You just keep twisting it, and it's gonna go up until the wheel is free. The wheel is up in the air. I'm gonna put this jack stand right here and lower the car. So the car is sitting on this stand. It's pretty solid. Now we can remove the 5 bolts. Now I have this beast of a tool. It's called Milwaukee impact wrench. We're gonna remove these lug nuts here. Goes 1, 2, 3, 4. This tool is a beast, guys. This is a beast. I'm only in mode 2. So I'm just gonna remove all the bolts with this and remove the tire. And for tightening all the bolts, I have a torque wrench, and we're gonna go by that because the Milwaukee tool like this will just too powerful for this. So let's remove these. I'm gonna look into the brakes. How good are these brakes? Because I have a new brake pads. We'll see if I have to replace them. So there you go. Sometimes when you remove this tire, it's kind of seized, so you have to like kick it on the side here, you know, and just kick it and it's gonna come out. But let's see. This one was not seized, so it came out very easy. Make sure you put it underneath the vehicle, just to be safe. There. Now, this part, now we need, once the wheel is removed, we need to remove these bolts here. They're 12mm bolts. We gotta unscrew them, the top one and the bottom one. But I don't need a tool, power tool for this. I can just do it by hand. Just suck it and start removing these bolts. This one is loose. Loosen up this one. These bolts are not supposed to be tight anyway. So remove these bolts, because we have to remove this bracket, the caliper. Unscrew it, the top one and the bottom one. We remove these bolts. Just at this time, just spray with a penetrating oil this nut. Here, just spray it. Penetrating oil. Let it soak in. While we're doing this, it's gonna soak in. But yeah, these bolts are removed. We can remove the caliper. See, it's removed, and we're just gonna hang it on some kind of bungee cord. I just hang it on a bungee cord so this line doesn't get torn. Anyway, let's remove our brake pads. They're still okay. I don't really have to replace them. We're just gonna clean them. They're pretty thick. This is the outer one, and this is our inner. See, still pretty thick. There's some thickness to it, so we're gonna leave these in place. Next step would be here. Take your 17mm socket, and you see this bolt right here, and then the top right here. I don't know if you can see it, this one. So you're gonna remove these bolts. They hold this bracket in place. So put your 17mm on the top. You can also spray some penetrating oil if you want. I'm just gonna spray some penetrating oil on these bolts. Right there. One right there. And let it sit for a few minutes. Put my 17mm on with a ratchet, and it goes easy. Remove this one. You can do it by hand now. That's number one. This is number two right there. So give it a tap. And here we go. This bracket is already moving. So let's remove that bolt. That bolt is out, and this whole bracket is out. We're gonna clean it before we install the brakes, but this is out. For the next part, we need to remove this rotor. So all you do, just kind of hammer it on the side here, hammer it here to loosen all the rust. It should come out. Got my hammer here. Start just hitting it here. After hammering it here, lots of rust came off. Also did a few taps on the back here. The rotor is out. It's moving. It's loose. Rotor on the side here. What's going on here? This is our axle nut, and there are bolts inside there. There's one, there's two. You see that one right there? Two, three, and four. We just have to align these holes like so we can put a socket here. Before we do that, I want to loosen this bolt, this axle nut. To loosen this axle nut, I have this socket. It's a 12-point socket, 30mm. What does it say? Yeah, it's 30mm. It goes on here perfectly, as you see. And we gotta remove this bolt. So let's do that. I set my impact wrench on number 2. Let's see what happens. Make sure it's rotating counterclockwise. Do anything, make sure this is straightened out like so. Make sure this is straightened out, and then you can remove this bolt easily. Now take your 17mm extension socket and put it on these bolts here and start undoing. Align the hole right here. And start undoing this one. This one's also going. There you go. There's two more. One down here. There's another one. So 3 bolts. They're not supposed to be super tight. Undo that one and one more left there. There you go. It's all spinning by hand. So before we do anything, I want to put another bungee cord and secure this part because it's all gonna fly out once we remove this. I'm already removing it by hand. These two. Our last bolt. And it's out. But see how long they are? There's no thread locker in these. Alright, so now this is supposed to come out. So you gotta give a couple taps and it's supposed to come out. So let's gonna do it on the side here. And it's already out. See, it's moving. But this backing plate likes to get stuck, so you gotta put like a screwdriver in here and like tap that thing. Thing is, you're supposed to put, if it's not coming out easily, you're supposed to tap it here, but just don't hit it with the hammer. Like put like a chisel here and hit the axle in the inside. See, it's like it's moving, so I need to push the axle on the inside. Here I put this piece and I hammer the axle inside and it's all loose now. You see, take some kind of tool, put it here and hit it. Don't hit with a hammer just like this, because you can mushroom this. So now everything is moving. We're gonna take this hub out, but this plate, make sure it doesn't fall. It's kind of hard to do it with one hand. I remove the hub and you see this part is just hanging down like this, so I don't want this hose to be pulling on this. So what we're gonna do, I'm just gonna try to secure this somehow with like a some kind of rope or something, because I want to clean this area too. This is our axle right there. We got a bunch of zip ties. I just want to hang this somewhere, maybe towards here, so it just doesn't pull on this cable here. So I'm gonna get a bunch of zip ties together. I'm gonna put them through here and suspend this to like right here or so. See what I did here? I put zip ties through here and here. All right, so here's the thing. We're gonna clean this area. We're gonna sand it down, and we're gonna put some thread locker here and then some thread locker here. My problem is when I remove this bolt, this stupid bolt, I did not weaken it. So right here is a little bit damaged, but that's okay. It's still gonna secure the axle. See the new one, this is our new bolt. It threads in nicely right here. It threads in pretty nicely, so it should no problem. I didn't damage it, but the mistake is, guys and girls, mistake is if you do this job, this is our old axle nut, you're supposed to weaken this with a chisel. Well, I made this mistake. I did not weaken it, but nothing happened to the thread, thank God. See, it's spinning nicely. Can do it by hand. But anyway, this brush right here, I'm gonna clean all this rust away. It's pretty clean actually. Clean it off. You can sand it down. Make it nice and shiny. Thing I can recommend, guys, you see the sensor right there? When you're hitting the rotor, make sure you don't hit it, and also don't hit this metal part. Let's also, this looks pretty clean, so we're gonna put some thread locker on here and start putting everything back together. That easy. Do anything, look at these two hubs. Just make sure everything looks the same. All right. This is part like narrow, this is narrow, this is a little bit bigger. It looks good. Let's flip it on the other side. It looks the same. This is our old one. I'm gonna show you this. I don't know if you could hear it. I could hear like little rubbing. Yeah. A little bit. It's not as bad. It was pretty bad before. Like you would hear it louder, but I could still hear when I'm driving. So, and this one is quiet, very quiet. You don't hear anything. It's supposed to go a little bit harder, but it's nice and solid and it's quiet. See, anti-seize lubricant. Just put a little bit of it here. Start like spreading it around. Don't get it inside there. Some anti-seize lubricant all over this where the contact points are, so it'd be easy to remove, but do not put it on the nut itself. You don't want to do it. And also check your thread. Everything looks good. All right, good. So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna put all this back together. This plate goes first, then the hub goes in, and then we put these bolts on. Take your backing plate and you have to hold it like this. It's kind of hard part. Make sure this hub goes in. All right, so it's sitting now, right? Make sure you align this bolt. Let's see. Hold on. Make sure this hub is aligned with this hole right here, like this. Now, take the backing plate, take the hub, and it's kind of hard to do it, but you can do it. All right. This, all these holes, you see they're aligned, and now this hub goes in like this. This is a little tricky. All right. Take your extension with your bolt and start kind of guiding it in. Here, come on this side. See, I take this bolt and it's coming out on the other side right here. Just thread it in. All right, so this side is holding lightly. All you need lightly. I would take another bolt and align with this hole and start threading it in. I align this hole and start threading it in. We're just gonna do it lightly. And then same thing for the bottom ones. That one there. So start threading it in. It's just hard to align, but don't tighten these bolts yet. The third bolt also aligns. As you see, it's in the hole, it's tightening. You get your fourth one. Let's see. It's right around there. So I'm gonna tighten this one in a crisscross pattern. First this one, then this one. This one is tight by hand. Let's go to the bottom one. Do it by hand. Go to the top one. Okay. Also check if it's nice and even. As you see, it's nice and even here. And then one more bolt we're gonna secure, then we're gonna torque these. Bolts right here. They're supposed to be torqued to 69 foot-pound. Click, go the opposite end. Click, go to this end. Click, and then one more. Do this one. Done. Take a new axle nut. Don't use power tools, just go by hand. As you see, the axle nut, I'm not doing it with this power tool because this crazy stuff, this will over tighten it. You gotta do 159 foot-pound. See, it's going. See, it's going. We're gonna make it tighter because it's not tight yet. Keep going. It's supposed to go nice and easy, so that means the threads are good. See, I put this, once we're gonna tighten this nut here, it's not gonna spin. This thing's not gonna spin. But I took a different torque wrench also. This one can go up to 250 pounds and we need 159 foot-pound. This one can do this properly because the one I have here, it can only go to 150 pounds. So we're gonna set this one up to 159 foot-pound and we're gonna tighten this bolt. My setup and torque this sucker until it clicks. I torque it. I just couldn't record it with one hand because I had to pull. And I apologize guys, I don't have my camera stand, I cannot find it, but it's very self-explanatory guys how to do this job. So torque this by hand. Don't use this beast right here, it will over torque the bolt. So I highly recommend renting a torque wrench and do it to 159 foot-pound. Torque this, and these bolt 69 foot-pound. I'll put the link in the description how much torque I apply. Let me just double check this. Yep. So we torque these bolts 1, 2, 3, 4, right? This one is torqued, not over torqued. Make sure it's torqued to the right specification. Now we have to hammer this piece. See this piece right here? We have to put that indentation in there. Put like a chisel on there or a big screwdriver and hammer this piece down so it's kind of sits in this groove right here. All right, let's do it again. I'm gonna use this part right here. I'm gonna hit it. See here, this part right here, kind of hammer it down on this part. Right here. Kind of make sure it's mushroomed in. And just prevent this bolt from spinning out. As you see right there. I also double check the torque with the torque wrench. Use the torque wrench and it clicks very good. So it's good, nothing is shaking. It's all solid. Next part, what I'm gonna do, I'm going to compress this cylinder here. I'm going to take this bracket here. I'm gonna clean these things, these guiding pins. I'm gonna lubricate them. We're gonna clean the hardware before we install everything back together. And also put anti-seize over here when you're installing this rotor, next time if you want to replace it, it'd be easier to remove it. You can put some anti-seize here, which would be a good idea. That's what I'm gonna do. Put some anti-seize, spread it around so the rotor will not get stuck. There you go. That's a little bit too much. That's good. So now before I install this rotor, I'm just gonna spray here, clean this dust off with a brake parts cleaner, just to clean it off, make it look nice. That's good. Now before you install this rotor, see there's this hole. You gotta pop this rubber piece out, and I'll tell you why. Install it, make sure this hole aligns with a little like notches inside there. Let me show you. Right here, these are adjustment notches for your emergency brakes. Make sure this hole is aligned. This part has to be aligning. You can twist your hub and align it. Need to install our rotor. Make sure this hub is turned this way so we can align that hole. See? Like this. Take this rubber piece and insert it. And we're good. Now we can install this bracket. First, we gotta install the caliper bracket. These two bolts. This is our caliper bracket right here. It's gonna go on like this, and we gotta align. You see this where the bolt number 1 goes and bolt number 2 goes. So this is our bolt number 1 on the caliper bracket. Just go by hand on this, and we're gonna torque it to 79 foot-pound. This is bolt number 1. Bolt number 2 goes right here. Torque wrench, set it to 79 foot-pound, 17 millimeter. Put it right there. Torque it to 79 millimeter, 79 foot-pound. Done. 79 foot-pound. Part, we're gonna remove this bungee cord. We're gonna compress this piston back into place. Your brake pads, one of them, the inner one, put it on a caliper here, as you see here, and then take this tool that I have here, and just start twisting it until the cylinder retracts into, it retracts back. See, I'm turning it, and as you see here, the cylinder goes back into place. Nice and even. There you go. This tool is very cheap, but it's very useful. I don't like using any pliers for this job. Just buy this and have it in your toolbox. I think be more than enough. Okay. Now what we're gonna do, we're gonna install these pads. Take your brake pad, the one with a metal sensor goes on the inside, slide it into the channel here. As you see here, this one is sitting in the channel in this metal bracket. Same thing on the top here. It's already sitting in nicely. And then we're gonna use another one more. Our outer pad. Also, it's good to lubricate this. All right, let's put it in. Nice and easy. There is no need for me to replace these pads. They're still pretty thick. So I just cleaned them up, cleaned the hardware, reinstalling everything. And next step, we're gonna swing this caliper and put these 2 bolts in the back and tighten them. Now we take the caliper, swing it down, and now we take these bolts right here, put them in the back. Just go by hand on the top one, and take the bottom one, goes in here, make sure it's aligned. Go by hand, and we're gonna torque them 25 foot-pound. 25 foot-pound. Now you can correct me in the comments below, or you can just do it by hand. I'm just gonna torque it properly. "25 foot-pound, and we're done. This one and this one. So we're done, guys. Double check everything. So we did torque those bolts that are inside, 69 foot-pound each. We torqued this to 169 foot-pound and also made this indentation. This caliper bracket, 79 foot-pound. There's one, there's a bottom one. Clean the hardware, lubricate these pins, torque these to 25 on the top, 25 on the bottom. Everything's good. Now we can put our wheel back. You can clean this if you want, but it's not really not rusty at all. But let's clean it just to be safe. You put the wheel back, spray your rotor. And we're done. Let it dry and we can reinstall the wheel. Double check your work, make sure the pads are installed correctly, the right way. The wear sensor on the bottom right there. You know, just look over your job, make sure nothing is loose or anything. And that's it. And if you don't have a torque wrench, you can just tighten these by hand. Just go snug, like snug, but don't go crazy on these. Everything looks good. I'm gonna reinstall the wheel. Now, I set this Milwaukee on setting 1. I am not gonna go fast. I'm gonna torque them anyway. So, let's see. Go nice and slow. Go as next one, because you don't want to break these bolts. And this Milwaukee impact wrench, definitely very, very powerful. Nice and easy. Got 3 more to go and we're done. The bolts installed. Now I'm gonna torque them 80 foot-pound on this. I'm spinning. I'm gonna lower the car a little bit. Oh, everything back together. I'm gonna go for a ride. Hopefully that sound is gone. We'll see. But it wasn't that hard of a job. All right, I'm just gonna go for a ride and let you know what's going on. Okay, so I'm driving around and it seems like the sound, the humming sound from the rear end is gone. But let me get in a road that's much bigger. I'm gonna go 60 miles per hour and we'll see. So the old hub, when I did this, you know, like turn it, I could hear like a noise. Let's see. No, I don't hear any sound. By now at 50 miles per hour I would hear some kind of howling noise, but it's gone. 100%, guys. That was the problem. I'm gonna go 60 here. Hopefully my wheel won't fall off. I torque everything to specification. We'll see. yeah, the sound is gone, like completely. I could hear it was humming and humming on the left rear corner. Now it's gone. Yeah, so I'm gonna turn here, and this is more like a straight road. But I can tell you for sure the sound is gone. Let's see. Still recording my face. I have a little helper here recording. All right. I'm tuning in my ears. Yeah, it's gone. Boys and girls, I came back from my ride, test drive. The wheel didn't fall off. The sound is gone. The vehicle performs very good, nice and quiet. So that's how you do it on this vehicle. But I want to talk to you guys about something. One thing that I screwed up, but let's just talk about it. This, guys, is our old axle. I don't know if you can hear it, but I could hear the sound. It's kind of hard for you to hear it, but there is a sound in here. So I'm still gonna keep this axle, this hub assembly, just in case, but I could definitely hear the sound, so that's why this one was bad. And one thing for you, okay, so when I was removing this bolt, this axle nut, you see there's this indentation here. You're supposed to hammer it out and make this part weaker, and I didn't do it, but I did not screw up the axle nut, the thread, so we're good on that. Another thing is here. So this tool right here is very powerful. When you remove axle nut, there'll be no problem. Just go on the power 3, and this beast will remove this like nothing. This is our 12 point socket, 30 millimeter for this bolt, and then, you know. So this does very good job, but do not forget, guys, hammer this piece out. See this piece? Flatten it out. Take a chisel, flatten it out. Well, since I used this tool, I had no problem to unscrew this bolt, but luckily I did not damage the thread on the axle itself. It was good. As you see, I could still screw it by hand. It was easy. And then we tightened it by proper torque. So I'm just letting you know, this is where I screwed up. And when you're securing any bolts, this is very, very strong monster tool. So you can go on number 1, lightly, you know, tighten the bolt, but always use a torque. On a job like this, always use a torque. And that's about it. But to remove bolts, this beast will do perfect. This is amazing. This tool is like, strong. Very strong. But anyway, I know you guys gonna criticize me in the comments because I'm using this TRQ brand. You will tell me use Toyota or use something else. I know, that's how it always goes, criticism, but it's okay. It's a free country, you can, you know, criticize. I'm fine with that. The reason why I use this TRQ because it has lifetime warranty, and another thing is, I might keep the car for like a year, maybe 2, we'll see. Plus, as you see, it's not hard to put a hub on this thing. So I'm gonna give it a try, see how this TRQ brand handles, see if this hub is gonna last me, see for how long, and I'll give you updates later on. My friends, how you install a rear hub assembly on this Venza. I'm sure it goes the same way on the Highlander and Lexus RX 350. So I actually didn't see a lot of videos online on the Venza, so I decided to do this, and I really apologize if I did everything like recording with one hand. I couldn't find my camera stand, but for the next video I promise it's gonna be better. But this job is done, and I appreciate your comments, views, likes, subscribe. See you in the next video.